Hello, everyone. This is Darcinovia here. May the force be with you. For everybody out here, man, fuck, it's been a while since I've done a Jedi's Cantina live stream, and it's been like 2 months since I've done an actual, Jedi's Cantina video. Now, for those of you who are going to watch this and watch it after the fact, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. If I, you know, talk about something and it clicks, I'll change the title of the video. But as of right now, as of this point in the stream, I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, regardless how many people are going to watch this live, I figured after what happened a few days ago, I'm not going to get into too much details about that. I figured I would like to do something else, a non-political video, a break, as you will. Anyway, Star Wars. What am I going to talk about related to Star Wars this time? Despite the thumbnail with Jason Solo on there, I'm not going to talk about Jason Solo primarily because, well, that would be a video for a different time, and doing a Jason lore talk video would definitely be a long video. It probably would be at least 2 hours considering the amount of material that exists. So a Jason lore talk video would probably not happen anytime soon, considering the amount of material that exists for the character of Jason Solo, references, appearances. There's just no way I could realistically do it. Not to mention, some of those stories I haven't read all of them, like the Jedi, Young Jedi Knight series, and I think there's a short story I haven't read. But I'm pretty sure that's not overall important to the overall story of Jason's, character arc. But it's just right now, it's just too big of an undertaking. So I'm just gonna do something simpler for now. Now, I'll probably just talk about what's on my mind regarding what's currently going on in Star Wars. For those of you who are wondering about my overall thoughts on the High Republic, if I have to be honest, I don't think it's that bad. I'm probably in the minority, honestly, when it comes to the High Republic. I think the High Republic, the criticism placed on the haters of the High Republic is completely overblown. I honestly think that, majority of the people that, completely shit on the High Republic or treat it like it's the worst thing ever have never read it and will not read it. And that is my, 2 cents on the High Republic. I'll probably do a video in the future, a stream, Jedi's Cantina, when all of the material comes out towards the, at the end of the year, where I'll do my thoughts on the High Republic so far. This isn't a full thoughts about the High Republic or anything. I'm just giving my brief, 2 cents on it, because I know some of you are going to ask what I think of the High Republic. The criticism is overblown. Is there a legitimate criticism to lay at the High Republic? Yeah, I think there is. I think Lucasfilm could have chosen a better spot in the timeline to do the High Republic. I think doing it at a time where barely anything can happen. You can't have any major events happen in the High Republic. You can't have any appearances by the Sith unless it's in the background, behind the scenes. You can't really have a Sith encounter a Jedi without that Jedi being, completely, eliminated. Honestly. Yeah, it is. And that's the thing I find ironic about the people that shit on the High Republic. They cannot see how what they do to the High Republic is the exact same thing, the exact same caricature that we see from people that hate on the EU, honestly. Like EU haters, They haven't read any of the material. And in all honesty, I think it's ridiculous why you are so obsessed with hating the High Republic in the first place. It's a series of books. You could fucking ignore it. It's not like, you know, the High Republic, is like the worst thing ever. I mean, there's so much worse things in Star Wars. It's like those out there who are complaining about it endlessly are just people that haven't learned to move the fuck on from, whether it's the sequel trilogy, the EU, they still haven't moved on. I want more EU. I do. Don't get me wrong. But I'm being realistic here. I don't think the EU is likely to get continued anytime soon. So I have to focus on, what's realistic. Do I think the High Republic could have been executed better? Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. And I think the High Republic should have been further in the timeline than 200 years. I personally would have placed the High Republic probably around 800 years, 700 years at the very least. That way you have as much room as you want to tell stories. But then again, I don't think there's anything that could stop Lucasfilm if they wanted to actually go that far back with the High Republic. If the High Republic is successful, they actually may go back further than 200 years. But as of right now, we're stuck with the 200 years before the events of the prequels. Then again, it's possible that, they're probably don't want to tell stories involving a younger Yoda. Probably in book form, Lucasfilm may want to tell their own story in a TV show or a movie regarding Yoda. So I think that's the reason why we're in the 200-year, time gap, because I don't know. I feel like it's probably the safest option for Lucasfilm, and maybe, I don't know. Either they can't do further than 200 years, or their imagination is limited. I don't know. I don't really see Lucasfilm in general, in all honesty, doing a, High Republic story in the, with Yoda as one of the lead characters. Because Yoda isn't even that much younger than he is in the prequels. He's like 600 years at this point in the timeline, 700. I think another reason I wanted the High Republic probably to go further back than 200 years, I personally want to read a story of Yoda at his prime. Like, Yoda at his prime, so at least far enough where Yoda could still be young as a young Jedi Knight. So we can at least get a glimpse of what kind of character Yoda was. Yeah, but I'm just saying that could have been a good way of exploring a new era with brand new characters. Then again, there's nothing to say they cannot go further back than 200 years. Honestly, the High Republic, there's so much material that has not been explored at this time. And of course, I could be wrong. There is like one point in my opinion where I think they could explain the downfall of the Jedi. Now, I don't know how. Honestly, I just don't see the High Republic realistically. It can't get too close to the prequels when it ends. So I don't know how far they're going to go. I know the second book, what I've read of it so far, takes place a year after the events of the first novel, Light of the Jedi. So I don't know what they're going to do regarding that. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. The High Republic, I think that the dishonesty of that is insanity. So yeah. Well, we don't even know what Yoda would look like, or anything of Yoda's species. Of I'd say 600 years as you know. I'd see that as middle age, not young. Honestly, Grogu I think is like 50 years old. I believe in Mandalorian, so I think I think the youngest we probably could see Yoda and have him be at his prime. I probably would say 400 years, 500 years, because 600 years is too middle age. Honestly, I don't know. Anything could happen. Probably. Then again, who knows? The High Republic is probably something Lucasfilm is probably going to ignore anyway once they tell their own stories in this era. I don't trust Lucasfilm not to probably, oh, we're going to be consistent with this story. No, we're just going to ignore it with Star Wars, like Acolyte. Yeah, okay. But anyway, I don't want to talk this stream to be about the High Republic because this Jason Solo stream would be, thumbnail would be misleading. The character of Jason Solo is an interesting one. I'm not gonna lie. You know, at least in my opinion, despite being a good while since I've read the last story that Jason was in, honestly, just think that Jason had a great story, and it's it's a tragedy that a lot of people haven't experienced Jason Solo's story. And I think Jason Solo's story was a great blueprint of what kind of character Kylo Ren could have been. Or they could have just gone in the opposite direction and been the reversed Vader. But in all honesty, Kylo Ren, is an example of what happens when you have a bunch of people that do not understand where you want to take your character. And Kylo Ren just did not have a clear-cut arc, in all honesty. I don't think anyone really understood Kylo Ren as a character. And I know I'm bringing up Jason Solo, but honestly, let's be real. Jason Solo is the son of Han and Leia that fell to the dark side, same as Kylo Ren. The big difference is in their arcs. I think Jason Solo, as a character, has a better arc in general. Is it fair comparing a character that's appeared in only 3 movies and a handful of like comics and maybe an appearance here and there in novels? Yeah, it's not really fair, but you can't argue with the results. Just Jason Solo has stacks and stacks and stacks of stories that he's featured in, from the Young Jedi Knights to the New Jedi Order to the Dark Nest trilogy to Legacy of the Force. The divide. There's those who love it, those who hate it. What makes Jason Solo's story so great in the first place is when you first see the character, Jason just appears to be a normal guy, and then you slowly see this young man that has so much potential, fall to the dark side. And I don't think Star Wars has explored, very often of what happens to a veteran of a war, who's force sensitive. I actually think Anakin and Jason are similar in many ways, considering a lot of their. I'm going by Legends, by the way, for Anakin. I'm ignoring Clone Wars because I consider Clone Wars its own thing. Anakin would have fallen to the dark side probably regardless how the events of Episode 3, had turned out, because I feel like the Clone Wars, had a huge impact on Anakin, especially the Battle of Jabim, which completely destroyed. A lot of people died. A lot of people, Anakin's friends died. and it's one of the most intense battles of the Clone Wars. Like Anakin has seen a lot of, fucked up shit in a short amount of time. And the Clone Wars is basically nowhere near the destruction and the death toll that the Yuuzhan Vong War had. But Anakin suffered severe PTSD because of the Clone Wars. I'm pretty sure you can apply this to canon as well, but I just don't think Anakin would have been able to handle a post-war society if, he didn't actually cut Mace Windu's hand off and basically bow down to the Emperor and become his right-hand man. Jason Solo, essentially, we actually get to spend more time with him than we did Anakin. Because Jason actually was older than Anakin when he fell to the dark side. And the whole reason for his 5-year journey in the first place was looking for answers, looking for, for peace. And I know some people do not like how, Fate of the Jedi handled, Jason's story and how they feel like it retconned Jason's story or basically made his fall to the dark side less tragic. I don't agree. I actually think Jason Solo's fall to the dark side is still tragic. And I think Jason Solo is a tragic character. I see Jason as the Revan of his era. Revan saw a threat, regardless if you go by pre-SWTOR or SWTOR. Jason, like Jason, Revan saw a threat that would destroy the Republic if it wasn't prepared for it. So the whole reason for Revan's fall to the dark side, which I prefer this version of Revan's fall to the dark side over the dumbass, SWTOR explanation, because it shows that Revan actually was doing it for the greater good. He actually was doing it to help others. He was trying to save the galaxy from a much greater evil. The Mandalorians, the Sith Empire. And I really wish the SWTOR games stuck to to Revan's original, backstory that KOTOR 2 set up. Regardless how BioWare feels about KOTOR 2, I think KOTOR 2 had such a better explanation for Revan's fall to the dark side than, Vitiate. It's such a stupid explanation. Vitiate fucking brainwashing, fucking Revan in the first place. Honestly, I think the only reason I would say Jason's fall to the dark side is better than Anakin's, it's because, let's be honest here, there's only so much time you could spend explaining Anakin's fall to the dark side or showing Anakin's fall to the dark side, considering Jason Solo, you had decades to worth of stories with Jason Solo in them. Hell, you had 10 years essentially where we witnessed Jason slowly fall to the dark side. So yeah, you had a lot more time to see Jason's fall to the dark side, which by the time he did fall to the dark side, it was tragic. And of course, I know there's people that are that Vergere. A lot of people have issues with the retcon of her being a Sith. I just see, Lamaya as just someone that lied and manipulated Jason in the first place. It's like, can you really trust the words of a Sith? No, you cannot. In all honesty. And of course, Vergere lied too. In my opinion, I don't see Vergere as a Sith. I see her as a borderline Sith, though. Her philosophy was, borderline dark side. So I think there is an argument. I'm actually waiting for that fan film to be finished. Yeah, they did. They took away Revan's agency by basically made him be brainwashed. It's just so dumb. In my opinion, it also makes the final duel with Malik and KOTOR one, it doesn't seem tragic, honestly, when you really think about it. Because if you think about it, you would say you take all the Knights of the Old Republic comics that features Malik. You see what Malik was like before he fell to the dark side. He was heroic. Yeah, he did some stuff that was impulsive, but Malik was actually, sorry, Malik. He was not a bad person before he fell to the dark side, and I think the final confrontation with Malik, what makes it so tragic, is at the very end when I'm going by the way the canon version of the duel. Malik asked the question, if their roles are reversed, would he have gone back to light like Revan did? And not to mention him actually reconsidering the wisdom of the Jedi. Malik actually, in his final moments, regretting what he has become. That, I think, was a great story that KOTOR 2, so 1, did, and KOTOR 2 expanded. KOTOR 2, in my opinion, enriched the first Knights of the Old Republic. It turned a game that, it was a good game with a good story, but it was just your every regular day Star Wars story into like a masterpiece. And knowing all the stuff you hear from Kreia, all the expanded material, Malik's story is a sad and tragic one. And it shows that nobody is exempt from the dark side. Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter if you do it for the right reasons. Eventually, it will corrupt you. As for Revan, then again, this was Kreia's point of view. One of the things I found interesting about Knights of the Old Republic 2, when Kreia basically made the point that Revan never fell to the dark side. And if you look at Revan's tactics in the Jedi Civil War and compare them to Malik, there's some merit behind it. Revan wasn't out to conquer the galaxy, while Malik was just a stereotypical Sith warlord that's just destroyed everything in his path. That is why, the galaxy took so many years to recover, because Malik was just like your regular Sith Lord and Revan wasn't. So if Revan really fell to the dark side, then why is it that the places that Revan left intact, why did they not take centuries to recover compared to Malik? Because Revan kept most of these military institutions, medical, all that other stuff intact. Revan didn't go out of his way to commit atrocities like Malik did. If I have to be honest regarding a adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy, I don't think it can work at this point. Even if they wanted to do an adaptation, it wouldn't be an adaptation at all. They would just be taking ideas. Because a big character from the Thrawn trilogy that it plays an important role is dead or MIA. And I'm referring to Guild Pillion. Pillion, I feel like, is one of those characters. I can't imagine the Thrawn trilogy without him. And also without, okay, what are you going to do with this version of the Thrawn trilogy? The original Thrawn trilogy featured Luke Skywalker, Leia, and Han and Leia. Are you going to exclude them from a new version of the Thrawn trilogy? I just don't see this working. If they did an adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy, I just see them just being the Thrawn trilogy without the original characters. That it would just have other characters taking their place, and I'm not okay with that. I'd rather them tell a new story than do an adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy in live action, because there's just too much things that are different at this point to even do an adaptation. And even if you did an adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do an adaptation? Star Wars at this point, has not adapted any story from the EU or even the new canon in any form. And even if they did, there's no way you could do it the same way. If you did it in animation, you might be able to do it, because you probably could hire Mark Hamill to do Luke Skywalker, or maybe somebody else, maybe to do Luke Skywalker, and maybe Mark Hamill could do another villain like Jubilee Sabayoff. I feel like if you wanted to do an adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy and do it correctly, it would take a lot of work. And not to mention, I just don't see it happening. I don't see Lucasfilm doing what DC does and adapting, their most critically acclaimed stories into, movies. It would be cool if we did see a line of Star Wars films where Lucasfilm took adapted stories from the expanded universe and adapted them in movie form. It'd be cool. It'd be amazing to see the Thrawn trilogy adapted, and if it was faithful to the original story, and you had a great voice cast that sounds close enough to the originals. I mean, if I have to be honest, if they're going to do an adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy, I don't want it to be a new canon version of the Thrawn trilogy. If I want an adaptation, I want it to be faithful to the original story. Of course, some changes would have to be made because, when you adapt a book to a movie, movies aren't like books or comics. They're different mediums, and certain things from the books would have to be changed. I think every Thrawn book could be its own film. I think that is definitely possible. But I just don't see Lucasfilm ever doing an adaptation of any expanded universe story. It would be awesome. I mean, that fan film of Heir to Empire is amazing. I mean, it's probably the best Star Wars fan film, in my opinion. It's like one guy doing the whole fucking thing. It's like, holy shit. Imagine if this person had a team. If we had people like that adapting EU stories and have it be its own TV series, that'd be amazing. And as for my idea for a Star Wars expanded universe TV show, I'd have it be separate from the new canon. Just call it Star Wars Legends, the animated series or whatever, and just how the whole point of that is adapting stories from the expanded universe. I would probably have the first season just be adaptions of Truce of Pecora. Truce of Pecora. Sorry, I'm thinking for a second. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, Truce of Pecora. Maybe not every story, but Truce of Pecora, the X-Wing novels would be a great, at least the first 7 would be a good, thing to adapt. The least if I were in charge of it. Courtship of Princess Leia. I probably would end the first season with the Tatooine Ghost. At least that's what I would do for season one, and I'd have the post credit scene of the last episode be, leading up to the Thrawn trilogy, which I probably would have the second season be the Thrawn trilogy, and that season three would be the rest of the X-wing books and maybe some of the like books from the New Republic era. I don't think we probably don't have to adapt everything. I don't know. If I did my own Star Wars animated series, it would be great. At least if I had a budget, I had a crew of people that knew how to animate, and I had directors that knew what they were doing and people that knew how to adapt. If I were executive producer and I had as much money as I want, I would probably have multiple. But it would be a adaptations of various books. Of course, there probably would be original stories that aren't in the EU here and there because I think an artist does not want to adhere to everything. That way, these stories could actually be watched by more people. I think the Thrawn trilogy could easily be its own season if you actually did an animated series. Considering the amount of material there is in the Thrawn trilogy, you could definitely do a whole season based on that novel, that trilogy alone. But in all honesty, though, it really sucks because I think the idea of a Legends, adaptations is something that they'd be printing fucking money, and I don't understand why Lucasfilm hasn't considered the idea yet. This isn't the Star Trek expanded universe, which, as someone that reads Star Trek novels, as much as I love, some of those stories that I read from Star Trek, like the post Deep Space Nine books, Star Trek expanded universe is so niche that it's niche within Star Trek fan circles. Like barely any Star Trek fan reads the Star Trek novels. There's more Star Wars fans that read Star Wars novels than Star Trek fans that read Star Trek novels. So I do think there is a market for Star Wars, expanded universe adaptations. I just don't think it will be done because Lucasfilm doesn't like money. Oh, yes, it would be great. An Old Republic TV show, as long as it's not an adaptation of the video games, as long as it's not a Revan TV show, I'll support it. I would rather Revan stay a video game character because that's what makes Revan so interesting. Oh yeah, a Young Jedi Knights, if I were in charge of an animated series, would probably be the 4th season or 5th. And yeah, the New Jedi Order would probably be season 6, 7, and 8, because there's no way you could do a huge storyline like that in 1 or 2 seasons. The Dark Nest trilogy would probably be its own season. Legacy of the Force would be season season sorry, it would probably be season 8 or season 9. Fate of the Jedi would be season 10, and I'd probably do a final season that'd probably wrap up everything. This would be an original story that would had nothing to do with the EU because there's no source material for post Crucible. And that's probably what I would do. I probably would have it be 11 to 12 seasons worth of, Star Wars material. That's what I would do if I were in charge and I had, unlimited amount of money to hire animators, hire voice actors, hire writers, and everybody else to make this happen. It would be animated, of course, because with animation, we could do whatever we want. Oh, yeah. Again, if we're doing Legends, the animated series, though, if I had to be honest, I probably would just do, different series. Like the first series would probably be called Star Wars Legends: The New Republic. And I would just adapt, have these seasons be this and this amount of, material, and the new and you probably would have a spinoff. Actually, not a spinoff. You have a sequel called Star Wars Legends, the Young Jedi Knights, and probably just adapt everything from Junior to Young Jedi Knights, and probably add some new stories and new characters too. I mean, the whole point is, I would be complete. I mean, there's stuff I would do. I would be faithful to the novels to a T. Like, example, I probably would do a story within, like, in the New Republic era where Luke Skywalker finds out who his mother is, and instead of doing a long goose chase, I probably would have Luke actually discover who Padme is, and have an arc where Luke actually meets, his grandparents, the ones that are still alive, that is. And I would probably do other things different too. It's like, even if I did my own adaptation, it doesn't mean I wouldn't want to add my own characters or do my own stories. Because no adaptation's ever going to be perfect. None of them are. There is no such thing. Jesus, I've been talking about EU mostly through this stream. Now, I really wish I could talk about the Bad Batch, because I know people in the comment section, when I know not many people are watching this, but those who are watching it after the fact are going to be asking, why not talk about the Bad Batch? I haven't watched it. I can't talk about something if I haven't seen it yet. And to answer your question, Papa Wedge, my favorite Darth Maul story is Maul Lockdown. Not only does this story, show like how intelligent Darth Maul is, it shows you just how that Darth Maul, even deprived of the Force, is dangerous. Darth Maul is one of the most dangerous Sith Lords in all of Star Wars. And it shows you how good of a fighter that Darth Maul is. That Darth Maul is not just a good fighter with the Force, he's a great fighter without it. That Darth Maul, the very fact that it just made Darth Maul into a badass and showed us a side of Darth Maul we don't get to see that much. Tactical, smart, a Darth Maul that is good at manipulation, a Darth Maul that knows when to not to pick to fight his battles. Darth Maul and Lockdown, I feel like, showcase everything that made Darth Maul into the character that a lot of people like. Now, I'm aware that it incorporates his Clone Wars, aspects of his character, which I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind Darth Maul being more of a tactical fighter, or being very smart, or knowing how to, talk to people or get information. Like, Darth Maul is a force to be reckoned with. And had Darth Sidious not held back and had properly taught Darth Maul how to fully utilize his abilities, Darth Maul could have been a fucking force of nature. Darth Maul is, in my opinion, I think he's a great character. And even though Clone Wars bringing him back was, if I have to be honest, I still think it was a little dumb bringing back a character from the dead that clearly died in episode 1. And I think Darth Maul's resurrection was clearly, this character is popular. Many fans love him. Let's bring him back. I don't care. Make it happen. Like, I don't care that George Lucas approved of Darth Maul's resurrection. I still think it was a fan fiction idea. But what's done is done. Darth Maul has been, resurrected. He has been alive, for a good while, post, episode 1. And there's nothing that can be done about it. I mean, I'll give Dave Filoni credit for one thing. At least he killed him off. I honestly think Darth Maul should not have survived past the prequels. If you're going to bring him back at all, don't have him survive, the Clone Wars. That's just ridiculous. Yes, he did have the potential, but he never did because, Sidious held him back. I still don't care. I don't think Darth Maul should have survived post-prequel. But again, if George Lucas had Darth Maul and Talon been a trio, not trio, whatever, duo, it probably would have worked. It probably would have been cool. But we'll never know what that version of George Lucas's sequels would have been like because, that dickhead J.J. Abrams just threw his ideas out the window. So whatever cool ideas George Lucas had in his mind, we'll never get to see. And I'm not a fan of Darth Maul's resurrection, but if I had a chance to see it in action with George Lucas in charge, that it could have been something incredible. Obi-Wan and Darth Maul fighting again, it's not something that's going to shock me. And here's why. There is no way they're not going to have it. They're not going to. I would not be shocked because Darth Maul's popular, and having a Obi-Wan and Darth Maul fight, and especially in live action, is something that I'm pretty sure a lot of Star Wars fans would like to see. Even though I don't think it makes any sense for Darth Maul to fight Obi-Wan again, post, Mandalore, considering the fact that how long it's been, why would Obi-Wan want to fight Darth Maul again? It just doesn't make any sense. Of course, they could probably explain in an Obi-Wan TV series how Darth Maul got to the state that he was in Rebels, but I don't know. There's still a Darth Maul story they could still tell in the new canon. They still have a few stories left for the character of Darth Maul. I think telling Darth Maul's story, at least the part of his story before Rebels, would be a waste doing it in a Kenobi show. I think Kenobi needs to be about Obi-Wan Kenobi because this is the last time we're likely going to ever get Edgar McGregor to do Obi-Wan. Just focus on Obi-Wan, for crying out loud. It's not like there isn't a story to tell. There's plenty of stories to tell with this character. There's so much potential, so much they can do. And in my opinion, I think the Obi-Wan series, I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I think it could be great. I just hope it's something new and different compared to what we've been getting from, the Star Wars franchise in the past, almost decade now from Disney. I hope it's something different. I hope it's a different kind of storytelling on screen. Like, come on, you have the makings of something incredible, something unique. I mean, you could do a Western with Obi-Wan. You could have a spiritual journey with Obi-Wan. There's just so much they can do, and I feel like it'd be a fucking waste if they just turned it into another action set piece. Yeah, it'd be a great fucking thing to do. Like the side of Star Wars that hasn't been explored that often. The mystic side, the spiritual side. That's what they could do for Obi-Wan. There's a great story to tell. We don't need an action set piece with Obi-Wan Kenobi. We don't need Darth Vader. We don't need fucking Darth Maul. Have the story focus on Obi-Wan Kenobi dealing with the aftermath of the Clone Wars. him dealing with the turmoil that he and the guilt and the self-loathing that Obi-Wan must have because of his failure. Have Obi-Wan go into a point in the series where he pretty much gives up the Force entirely because he has no hope. He loses, for a time. Have Obi-Wan at his lowest point. Make Obi-Wan human. That way, it could lead to the character that we see in A New Hope. Have this series be the transition from Edgar McGregor Obi-Wan, and in the finale, we have him become the Allen Guinness Obi-Wan. That's what we should do. We don't fucking need an action set piece. We don't need Darth Maul or some fan service bullshit. Because that's my main criticism of Mandalorian, in the second season. That it's just fan service bullshit, a backdoor for pilots for future shows and whatever. Don't fucking do that to Obi-Wan. Make Obi-Wan a series that fans, can watch and can actually truly appreciate. Don't fucking do what the thing that Marvel does and just have a backdoor for future Star Wars projects. Have this be its own independent story. So those who don't watch the prequels or don't like the prequels can watch this story and get something out of it. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a great character. He is one of the greatest characters in fiction, and he doesn't deserve a TV series that puts ahead fan service over actual story and character development. Yeah, it was a story. That's my criticism of season 2 of Mandalorian. It was story. Because let's be honest, regarding Mandalorian, do any of you actually give a shit about Grogu when you saw Luke Skywalker appearing at the end of season 2? Like, don't get me wrong. I love Luke Skywalker. One of my favorite characters. Seeing Luke Skywalker, do what he did in Mandalorian was awesome. Seeing the Luke Skywalker I remember from my childhood again, for the first time in almost 40 years, we get to see the real Luke Skywalker, at least in my opinion. Seeing him back, it felt like seeing an old friend. Compare that to Grogu. No, I don't give a fuck about Grogu. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck about Grogu. I don't give a fuck about Grogu. This scene that's supposed to be an emotional goodbye with Dan and Grogu was overshadowed by the appearance of Luke Skywalker. Who cares about fucking Grogu? I'm serious. Luke goddamn Skywalker was fucking there. And you know what? That is what people see when they remember the end of season 2. They don't remember the emotional goodbye. They remember Luke fucking Skywalker appearing to rescue everyone. We get to see that a fucking green lightsaber. Yes, we're not this. Oh my God, there's blue lightsabers. It's like we've been seeing nothing but blue lightsabers on screen for fucking 6 years now. We've been seeing nothing but blue. And finally, we see Luke's iconic green lightsaber. I love that damn lightsaber. I love that green lightsaber that Luke has. I love the design. I love the hilt. I love the color. Green has always been one of my favorite colors. And seeing that again was like something I wanted to see in The Last Jedi. Mandalorian season 2 delivered. I'm not going to lie that I did not enjoy that scene, but objectively, if you remove my nostalgia, what do you get out of Mandalorian season 2? It's a backdoor for pilots for other shows. Like if you're a fan of Ahsoka, good. You're probably gonna watch the Ahsoka episode for Ahsoka, not the Mandalorian. You're probably gonna the Mandalorian, he's just there. Like the Mandalorian fucking wasn't even his own fucking. It wasn't even the show about him. It was like for half the season, it was about the other characters. And he's like, the Mandalorian is like the least interesting character in those episodes. Like that one episode where the Mandalorian is with that Imperial guy, the form of Imperial dude. That guy was pretty cool. Yeah, he only appeared for 2 episodes, and he was and what little we knew about him, that one scene where you had that that one of those former Imperialists talk about all the stuff that they did, and he freaking shot him. It's like, that was awesome. That Imperial character was so cool. I want to see more of him. He was an awesome character. Then you see Bo-Katan, again, more interesting than Dan. Ahsoka, more interesting than Dan. You see this pattern here? Every single time you had a character from a different part of the Star Wars universe appear alongside Dan, the character of Dan was completely overshadowed. Like, yeah. I'm just being honest. I'm looking from the perspective of your average Star Wars fan. When they see Mandalorian, the second season, every time there's a character that is far more interesting than Dan on the same screen, the character of Dan is forgotten. Like when that episode Ahsoka is in, I'm not an Ahsoka fan. Yeah, she is, but whatever. I'm just using her as an example. Ahsoka, no Ahsoka fan, but let's be real. Did you guys give a shit about Dan when you watched the Ahsoka episode? I certainly didn't. I mean, the Ahsoka episode, we had some pretty fucking awesome fight choreography. And that's one thing. I know I'm biased because I love martial arts and I love a good fight scene. That fight scene that Ahsoka had in that episode was some of the best fight scenes we've seen in modern Star Wars. In fact, I think it is the best duel we've seen in modern Star Wars. It was such a fucking awesome lightsaber duel. Hell, every scene Ahsoka was using her lightsaber was well choreographed. I know it's a low bar to set, but every scene that you saw Ahsoka in completely overshadowed the Mandalorian, that you forgot the character existed. Now, I consider the Ahsoka episode objectively good. It did a great job introducing the character to live action for the first time. It did a great job actually expanding the world, but the problem is this is supposed to be Dan and Grogu's story, and you completely forget that he exists because of Ahsoka. And this is the point I get with the Obi-Wan series. They have one chance to get this right. They have only one chance to get this right. Obi-Wan can do a movie by himself. For fuck's sake, you had an entire Clone Wars arc that just focused on Obi-Wan Kenobi when he was undercover. Like, why do you need to insert all this fucking bloated shit? That's the problem. An Obi-Wan show needs to be about Obi-Wan. If you do anything other than focus on Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're doing it wrong. It's not like Star Wars fans are not open to actually experience something different and new. I know I've given the Star Wars fandom a lot of flack because of how childish and entitled they are, but honestly, these fucking Hollywood elites, Star Wars fans are not as dumb as you think they are. Just give them a story, a good written story about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the rest will take care of itself. Yeah, but Obi-Wan Kenobi is more than just nostalgia. That's the reason. Obi-Wan alone is enough to draw attention to a show. You don't need Darth Vader. Anybody that actually thinks that we need to fucking include Darth Vader is out of touch. Can Anakin appear in the show in a flashback? Yes. Yeah, you could have him appear in a flashback. It's like there's so much things we could do. In fact, there's so much we haven't yet to explore about the Force on screen that you could probably have Obi-Wan dealing with his with his guilt, and you can see a vision of Anakin. It's like there's a lot that could still be done, and the very fact that I call me a pessimist. I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, but I think they're gonna add some bunch of stupid shit in the Obi-Wan show because they honestly that they view the audience as stupid. Now, again, I know this stream was all over the place. For those of you who are watching this video after the fact, and I know that there's only a few people watching, but honestly, after what has happened, I had to do something like this. It felt good. Anyway, I don't have much more to say because I feel like I'm going to repeat myself. I really wish I would have done another Jedi's Cantina. So for those of you who, wanted me to do something besides politics, well, I did it. Yeah, that is true. As for Star Wars Visions, I might as well just talk about it. It looks cool. Star Wars Visions looks pretty sweet. I mean, as someone that is a fan of Japanese animation, some of those like stuff that we see from those trailers, like the shorts, it looks pretty fucking badass. And in all honesty, it's what Star Wars desperately needs right now. Star Wars needs to stop with this nonsense of clinging to canon at this point. I'm so sick of this. Oh my god, this looks like garbage. It's not. They're going against established canon. It's like, who cares? Seriously. Honestly, if you're a fan of Star Wars material that isn't part of the main canon, guess what? Canon doesn't fucking matter. My Star Wars material that I'm the biggest fan of isn't officially canon. I don't care. Honestly, at this point, when most of the fucking stories that we have are trash. I mean, come on. A story isn't good or bad because it's canon. A good story is a good story regardless. And Visions opens up the doors for more Legends stories. It does. It really does open up the doors. And not to mention, with Visions, we get to see different sides of the Star Wars universe that wouldn't be possible if you constrain yourself to canon. And in all honesty, yeah, it's probably some of the shorts are probably going to be all style and no substance. But you know what? At least it's something new and different. You can only go up when you go from the shitty Star Wars sequels. You can only go up. You could never go down. Nothing, in my opinion, will ever top the Star Wars sequels in terms of how awful and boring and uncreative that they are. You can only go up from here. Yes, the High Republic, they could have gone further back in time than 200 years. Yeah, some of the stuff that they introduce in the High Republic doesn't make sense, and it has some SJW elements. Yes, the High Republic is not the best thing we could get out of Star Wars. Yes, the High Republic is one of the things that I think I would probably not actually have made. But I'll take the High Republic despite how flawed it is over anything that we've been getting in the past 5 years. I prefer the High Republic over Mandalorian. Fight me. I'll die on this fucking hill. I will die on this fucking hill. I will die on this fucking hill. I prefer the High Republic over Mandalorian. It's a new era, new characters. It's doing something different with Star Wars. It's exploring an aspect of Star Wars that I care about. I'll fucking take Visions over Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, because at least Visions is exploring a different aspect of Star Wars. This is something we haven't seen for this franchise in years. We haven't seen something like this since Legends. Legends, we saw different sides of Star Wars. We saw topics that the movies won't even cover. And since a Star Wars anime, is something that I didn't think I would like or want, and I'm glad it's not just doing the original Star Wars trilogy with a different animation style. It's taking its own spin on the Star Wars universe, telling stories with its own characters, its own worlds, and it's taking all the creative energies they can and the best animators from Japan. And I recognize some of the animators, at least the styles in those shorts. The High Republic could potentially get us into a Star Wars renaissance. Because if at least on screen anyway, my favorite Star Wars stories are in the literary side of the Star Wars universe. And to me, that is probably where most of my love for Star Wars is always going to be, which explains why I'm more interested in the High Republic than Mandalorian, because I'm more of a book person these days than someone that watches stuff on TV. Well, the Phantom Menace are a bunch of cunts anyway. Let them fucking cry. Let them fucking reave and seethe over a Star Wars fan actually loving Star Wars. I mean, for fuck's sake. 6 years ago, I did nothing but bitch and whine and complain 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 about the stupidest nonsense. That is the Star Wars fandom in a nutshell. Of course, I'm not going to say everything I said there wasn't some legitimacy. I don't regret defending the EU. I don't regret, supporting the campaign that made the Jaina Solo figure. I don't regret that. I don't regret making the State of Star Wars podcast. I regret how things turned out, though. I wish I could have done things differently. I know this is getting serious, but I am no amount of apologies I can say to the State of Star Wars crew will ever be good enough. And I know there's some people here who have issues with them. I know, but as someone that was once the co-host of State of Star Wars, that was once the host of State of Star Wars after Kyle Phantom, I do have regrets on how that situation turned out. I'm sorry. I know whatever I say, I know it's not going to be good enough, but I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just I do have regrets regarding the Star Wars fandom. There's things I could have done better. How I handled the State of Star Wars situation was one of them. I know this is getting serious, but I'm just saying that since this is a Star Wars related stream, there's a lot of things that I did in the Star Wars fandom that I do regret doing. My biggest regret was walking away with the State of Star Wars like I did. I wish I could have done that better. I wish I would have left on better terms. And and I know you're watching this, I'm sorry. Nothing I say will ever be good enough, but I'm sorry. I wish we could have left on better terms. And in all honesty, from someone that has experience as much as I have with this fandom, being involved with the debacles that I've been involved in when I was in charge of the state of Star Wars. Everything I've done on Facebook, the only advice I can give you is stick to your own group. Don't try to go to a group and try to change it for the better, because this fandom is entitled. You have a lot of people that will stab you in the back. You have a lot of people that are they're not good people. If you could find those good people in the Star Wars fandom, I would do it. There's no need to build a Star Wars group that's in the thousands, like the state of... No, sorry. In the thousands, like the Alliance to Preserve the Expanded Universe. There's no need to build a Star Wars group that's an alternative to the Disney Star Wars groups. Just build your own groups. If you still want to enjoy Star Wars with your fellow fans, then get a fellow Star Wars fans that love Star Wars like you do and don't care about all this bullshit drama that most of the Star Wars fandom is involved in, and just make your own group. In my opinion, none of these big Star Wars groups that I've ever been a part of are serious about Star Wars or care about Star Wars. They're just drama groups. That's all they are. And considering how fucked up things are in this world, we could at least have a refuge. And yeah, that's where I stand. And I know this has been getting serious. But as someone that's had experience with drama in the Star Wars fandom, as someone that's had experience with drama in other areas as well, that the actions that I did, I could have done a lot of things better. And in all honesty, had I seen through... I'm not going to call him by his name because I despise him and I hate him that much. I'll just call him the devil. Had I seen through the devil sooner, had I stood by my friends, stood by my comrades in the state of Star Wars over the devil, things would be different now. Things would be different. Would I still have made the Jedi's Cantina? Yeah, I probably could. I could have done that. The fact that we're not on good terms, that we're not on even friendly terms, is a regret that I have. And I know there's those who have problems with those people, but I don't care. I believe in doing what's right. They still do Star Wars content regularly, and I know there's those who watch me that want me to do Star Wars content. They still want me to do it. I do my reviews when I can, but you got to understand, it takes a long time to get through a book. Between my studies and all that other stuff, I can't produce as much content as I used to. So I'm going to do something that I didn't think I would be doing, but I'm doing it because it's out of principle. And for those of you who don't like them, tough shit, I'm doing it anyway. It's the right thing to do, and I owe them that at least. If you want Star Wars content that has nothing to do with this crap, that can get your fancy, that can get your fix on, Star Wars, regardless if you're a fan of... If you're more of a Legends fan, watch State of Star Wars. Watch them. Watch them. I don't know if they're going to appreciate this endorsement, but I don't care. I'm doing what's right, and I'm doing what's right. If you don't like me promoting your channel, well, tough shit. I'm doing it anyway. I want to at least try to give an alternative. So while you're waiting for me to produce content, you could watch them in the meantime. So yeah, watch State of Star Wars. If you want Star Wars content and you don't want to wait for it, they have plenty of content. In fact, I might actually check out one of their videos actually one of these days. Maybe I'll actually become a fan of the State of Star Wars podcast as an outsider. Anyway, I don't really have much left to say. I think I'm going to end this podcast on this note. This has been a good podcast. And in all honesty, I needed this. It feels good to maybe do something different for a change, not talk about the ugliness of the world. This is Darth Sinovia. May the Force be with you. And stay safe, everyone. And see you guys next time with another podcast. Thank you.